This is not Chunk Wizard. Right now, that guy is busy mining away all the natural resources that Lumbridge has to offer. Now, this is Gob Lord 42. Alright, let's move right past that. This is Goblin Mode, the series where I from scratch try to get a fire cape without ever seeing the sun. The rules are simple. Does an area have a clear view to the sky? Then I'm not allowed to do anything in that area. I will need to find all the resources to get the armor, the items and the levels that I need to take on the fight caves, all while only being allowed to explore caves and dungeons. This is where my new life is going to start. I would have loved to have a green skin, but that's only available if you've done the Halloween event and this account was just created. The rules? Pretty simple. I'm not allowed on the surface. On a technical level, that pretty much means that I can access mostly everything that is just not the Gielinor surface map, and you're gonna excuse me for still having the chunk map enabled. Pretty much everything else that is quote-unquote underground, I am allowed to access. I'm gonna be real with you, it's mostly gonna be a vibe-based thing. If there is a specific area that is still outdoors but also not the Gielinor surface map, I'm not going to allow that either. Just as long as I am underground, it's fair game. The goal? Getting a fire cape. For which we need to do a lot of things. We need to gather up gear, so let's get started by just picking up these leather boots. We need to get the levels, maybe a little bit of food. This cabbage can help me with that. Might as well pick up a knife just in case. I don't think that this bucket is going to do that much to me, and guess we're fighting spiders. Everything that I do has to be gathered from underground areas. Now you're going to need to suspend your disbelief because yes, I'm going to be walking from one dungeon area to the other dungeon area, but I am not allowed to interact with any content on the surface. That also means that any dungeon areas that require skilling or questing to be done on the surface to be unlocked in the first place also are off limits. In short, this is a don't touch grass challenge, which again, we should be pretty good at. To get started, what is the most important thing that we could be doing right now? Getting combat experience. We need to get combat experience in any way possible. These spiders are actually not a terrible way to get started, just gaining a couple of levels. Here in the Edgevale dungeon, I'm just kicking some spiders. I killed one rat for its raw meat. I have access to some cooking methods if I really need them. The Rogue's Den has a fire, but I kind of feel like I'm maybe gonna need to flinch a little bit here. I also can just pick up bones. And oh, these are aggressive, buddy. These are aggressive. No. The name of the game right now is just get combat levels so that things like this don't happen anymore. That's why I'm using melee combat to begin with. We're not going to use any of our melee stats aside from maybe defense, so training my attack and strength is largely going to be a useless activity for me to do. I have a plan. It's a 3-phase plan. For right now, let's focus entirely on phase number 1, because without that, we can't move on to do anything regarding phase 2 or even 3. The first and most important thing is to get equipment into every single one of my equipment slots, save for the ring slot because I don't have access to anything that will help me there. Because everything else that I will have to do to prepare myself for the fire caves relies on me being able to survive literally anything at all. Phase 1 is all about getting a minimal viable combat setup. Today we're going to focus on one of the most important parts of that initial setup, and that is the weapon. Traditionally, the fight caves are done with ranged weapons, and I'm gonna do it no different than that. We need a bow, we need arrows, and we need ranging armor in the long term. Today is all about the bow. Once we have that, we'll move on to armor, and then see how far we can take this to make a proper fight caves ready character. And while usually you could just get a starter bow from either the range tutor, use the one that you got from Tutorial Island, even fletch one yourself. Between you and me, for the most part, trees don't grow underground, so fletching is going to be largely just off limits to me, most likely. And I need to find monster drops that can give me a bow. I did just, get a beginner clue scroll. I did not mean to start recording at that. Obviously can't do that. I have no reason to keep training my strength, by the way, because my next max hit only happens at level 14, so let's switch over to punching the rats instead. And when I'm level 5, I'm gonna head out of here. With that, we're up to level 5, level 7 combat actually. The beautiful underground, totally not in the sunlight city of Keldagrim. I need to board a boat somewhere to start the quest to actually get into the city. Whole bunch of dialogue, blah 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 blah. I don't really care about your quest, I'm just gonna be on my way because now I'm in this city. Which means I can start doing stuff, hopefully making some money and buying some items. We've got some warhammers that we could maybe buy. That might be a good item to get started with. We've got another weapon shop over here, and you should sell, there we go, the maple long and short bow, as well as mithril and adamant arrows. This is going to be our ranging option forever. This is the highest level bow that we can get our hands on. Magic bow and new bows are both beyond my grasp. I just don't have a way to get them entirely on the ground. And while there are some options for crossbows, there's no good way for me to get bolts other than smithing them. Also, we have the steel scimitar in this shop, and then every single arrow is going to be 104 coins each as well. Which means we're going to need to do a little bit of money making confined to Keldagrim for the time being, as well as find a way to get up to level 30 range in the first place. What I really need is a way to get started with mining and smithing, and you can give it to me for 1 coin. That's all I need. I need to get a single coin to get a pickaxe. Then I can go all the way back to Falador and I will be good to go. Down here in Falador, I need to not be killed by all these scorpions, but that shouldn't be an issue, hopefully. Oh, that definitely will be an issue. And this is why I wanted to grind up my combat skills before doing anything even remotely like this. Right here, we have another pickaxe shop, which has bronze pickaxes for us. Again, for 1 coin. I can't get 1 coin right now. I have to murder your friends to steal their stuff to sell it to you. I hope that you know that this is your own fault. I can get lucky, and there we go, last hit. He gave 1 bronze mad helm. I don't know if that guy's gonna buy that. Do you buy this? No. Do we have an armor shop down here by any chance? There's a general store. Probably didn't need to murder that dude. That sucks for him. Do you buy a knife? 1 coin. That's all I need. I've got 8 coins. That means that I can get myself a nice little pickaxe. I think there's another one up here that will sell me a pickaxe. And this guy can sell me up to a rune pickaxe as well, which would be really, really nice to have eventually. For now, bronze is all that I really need, and honestly, all that I can use. But I didn't come down here as a moneymaker, because mining just wouldn't be a good moneymaker to begin with. No, I need a way to train range without using a bow, oak bow, or willow bow. That leaves me with only one option: bronze knives. That's the only level 1 weapon that I can use that'll let me get ranged experience. That means that I have to smith my own bronze bars and then make those into bronze knives. That might not sound so bad to do, and it wouldn't be if it weren't for the fact that I need a furnace for that. And best I can tell, there's only 1 location in the entire game that contains a furnace. The very place that this series is destined to eventually end at, the Karamja volcano. So that would mean that what I need to do is mine my ores over here, make my way to Karamja, smelt my stuff, go to Keldagrim to smith it, and repeat that cycle until I have enough bronze knives to make it to level 30. That is not a cycle that I am super eager to do even once or twice, let alone the amount of times that it would take to get the smithing level and then the amount of knives that I need. There also is the blast furnace, but that costs thousands of GP per hour to use, and I don't have a way to make money. So the Karamja volcano probably is the best way to go, and it is possible to do, because within the volcano there is a bank. So if I have a spot where I can mine copper and tin and then bank it, I can bulk smelt it over in Karamja and then bulk smith it over in Keldagrim. I won't have to go through and do that cycle every single individual inventory. The issue is finding a place underground for copper and tin that also has a bank. There is a bank really close to my current location, in the mining guild. But that would mean that I need to get to level 60 mining before I can really start doing anything at all. There we go, he has copper, tin, iron and coal in his shop, so surely he can buy those. 2 coins each. If I sell 10 of them, how much? 1 coin each. Sell 10 more of them, and now you're not paying for them at all. I'm gonna need to hop around a little bit. We already got a sapphire here, and now a diamond. This might be useful for us in the future. I don't yet know if we're going to be able to get to the point where I can use this in any meaningful way, but this is something to maybe keep in mind. Making decent progress, I've graduated to iron ore, which is really good, and if I keep this up, I'm going to just unlock the mining guild bank way before I unlock any decent pickaxe. I don't know how much this iron ore is going to be selling for. We're going to find out. I don't think this is going to give me anything at this point. A couple of coins. It's fine. Value for iron ore, 11 coins each. Okay, selling 10. Value, 8 coins each. That's still pretty good, man. First experience random of the account. I had a potion random earlier, I didn't record it. There's a fair couple of things that could give me an advantage. If I somehow manage to fletch my way all the way up to a high fletching level, I might be able to fletch a bow. A better bow than the maple bow that is our current minimum viable goal. Would require a lot of lamping though, and a lot of fletching training in other ways while not having access to any notable amount of trees, at least not to my knowledge. Mining and smithing are going to take care of themselves. I have access to ores, I have access to a furnace, don't need to lamp that. Slayer might be interesting. There is a couple of Slayer monsters that might be able to give me some interesting items. I could use the Edgeville Dungeon Slayer Master when I reach level 40 combat, but sooner or later I'm going to get a task that I just cannot do, and I don't have a way to reset it without being able to access the basic Slayer Masters. And there is crafting, which might end up being useful for some of the equipment I need to make. This is a thing that we're going to need to tackle in one way or another at some point. But what might be surprising is that there is a couple of doors that open themselves up through thieving. I can find ways to train crafting at level 1, even though it would be tedious and really annoying. It is possible. I have no method of training thieving at level 1. The only thing I can do at thieving level 1 is pickpocketing men and women, and as far as I know, none of those exist anywhere underground in the entire game. With that explained, we're going to lamp thieving. An inventory of iron finished up, 501 coins in the inventory, which means that if we go back over here now, for 500 coins, that is an improvement. I can still wield this. Any other upgrades I won't be able to actually equip, because my attack level still is 5. However, I don't think I'm going to stick around here until I get the rune pickaxe, because that is a little too much. If you look at how quickly I'm mining these, I might be able to find a better power mining spot somewhere in the dangerous areas of the mine. And even if I don't finish all that up, as long as I get to level 30, I'll be able to do Motherlode Mine. Which also has a bank in it. I'm an idiot. One more or less full inventory of tin, and I'm gonna run for my life, just get out of here. Motherlode Mine. We should be able to mine through this rockfall, and there we have it, a bank chest. Still not the ideal bank placement, it's a little whiles away, but we can just dump this in. 25 coins. Is that just what you get at the start of any account? Maybe? It's just me to start a secondary side series to get away from my mining and smithing grind, and then start it off by doing a mining and smithing grind. Let's just mine this one rock and call it good enough for now, because I can just right away teleport over to the Tsar fight pit. Not that anybody ever actually interacts with this thing at all, aside from the achievement diary. It's just a teleport location. And here's a couple of people that are getting ready for their own fight caves runs. Gonna be me at some point in the future, man. But for now, we do 10, 10, 4 and 4. So that's 14 and 14. It's a really weird way to fill out the inventory, I'm aware. And then there is a furnace right over here, where we can make our bronze bars. But you know what the most pathetic part of this is? Even as weird and arbitrary as this whole thing is, it's still better XP per hour than my initial training method on Junk Wizard. So I think I can deal with this. I think I'm fine. See, do you buy these? Yeah, for 30 coins. That's not bad, man. It's almost 60 coins. And you sell this for 1. I love you. And we've got an anvil right next door. I don't think bronze axes are going to be any use, but we'll make one just to see if we can sell them, if they're worth more than the daggers. And that's also level 3. The axe will go for 6, the dagger will go for 4. We'll have a scimitar, which is good just for combat. We need to level up those combat stats at some point. And then what are they valued at? 12 coins. That ain't bad. All the way back up to 200 coins. And if we want to go back to Falador, that's another 150 coins down the drain. So we can buy 1 maple shortbow. I don't know if you guys quite understand, but we've got one of the pieces of gear for our minimal viable setup that I want to go for. There's a lot of gear slots that we want to fill out. Technically speaking, I think the leather boots also are just the best boots that I can get. Honestly, this is a pretty close furnace to a bank, all things considered. Especially since it's the only one that I have available to me. 112 total bronze bars should be enough to get me at least a decent amount of knives. Back home in Keldogrim, at least at this point, this kind of feels like my home base. And we can start smithing the knives that we need to finally get started with getting ranged experience. With all that now taken care of, we've got 560 bronze knives. We need to find something that we can reasonably take on at level 1 ranged. Full disclosure about this, I was planning to go into the ham hideout, which a ham on the trapdoor. Turns out at thieving level 1, the odds of lockpicking this thing are fairly low. You get 1 experience per failed attempt. So just standing here and waiting for your character to open it up can take minutes, and it's not going to give you thousands of XP per hour, but I don't know, for some niche one-chunk account, this might be interesting info. Now forget anything that you've seen here, I've never been on the surface. I was gonna have a clip where I just showed up down here and you could see, oh, he's gonna be killing the ham guards. I'm gonna be killing the ham guards. They drop arrows, which will help me get started when I actually can start wielding the bow. But they also have some interesting material drops that are going to be anywhere between nice and crucial for the account's progression. And we've got logs. There we go. Even though I'm underground, I can get logs. And there we have the next interesting drop, the leather body. This is not quite my best in slot that we're going to use for the fight caves, but it might be not that far off, depending on how far we were willing to go for this. In either case, it's going to be definitely helping me be a tiny bit more accurate against these ham guards, which right away is useful. And there we go. This is the next interesting bit. Cow hides. I may not have direct access to cows, but this still is a step toward leather. Just about level 25 is where we managed to get to with the bronze knives that I've made. We need 5 more levels. We need to stock up on a little bit more bronze knives, or rather, I'm gonna do iron knives because those will just be easier to make. The Dwarven Mine rocks for iron, not in a great location if you're not immune to scorpion stings. So I'm back here in Keldogrim. I'm going to be buying a steel scimitar. With that, I'm going to be training my attack, strength, and defense all the way up to some level. This has turned out to be my training spots, and we got a good old mystery box. Let's see what we get. You've gotta be kidding me! That's the first one of the account! The Chunk Wizard account is over 1,000 hours old. Still doesn't have a single steel baguette. The first one, not even from a sandwich random. What? I think it might be a good idea to start exploring the stronghold of security here. At least we've got these level 5 goblins, which shouldn't be able to do that much against me. I've got a little bit of food here just to be sure. Kind of felt like that while we're in here, we might as well get all the rewards. And that is floor number 2. This last floor is just not scary at all. There's one room that's dangerous. And with that, the final floor that we're working with here. Now at attack level 20, I can finally go through here and buy a Mithril Warhammer, which should be slightly better DPS in most scenarios than the Steel Scimitar. By the way, for those of you screaming at your screen saying that I should just go train my combat stats at sand crabs or rock crabs or whatever, because that's what everybody always does, because it's just a great option. There's no underground sand crabs that I could find, but rock crabs? There's one location where they appear underground. I just don't know if it is quite safe. I just need to not get killed by all these Dagonoths. But after we've managed that, and maybe I can get into this little corner here, if I can find a spot where I'm safe from them, Waterbirth Island is a pretty good spot to maybe AFK at. And now a Dagonoth has gotten stuck in here with me and I gotta get the hell out. And if you're about to point out there is a cave that has sand crabs, I know, but I can't go in there. It requires a quest, which, as so many others, I just cannot do. Finally, at combat level 29, I am now safe from the level 14 scorpions and I can get back to doing what I wanted to do. With that money, we go to the pickaxe shop and just double check. Only 3k for an adamant pickaxe. There's going to be 32k for the rune pickaxe, which is why I'm not even bothering buying that. But this is a pretty big upgrade. But I can't wield because I don't have 30 attack. I can use it though. I ended up mining about, I was gonna say 1,000, more like 1,100 iron ore. Went a little overboard, which I'm going to smelt into what is likely to be about 550 to 600 bars. 562 total bars, that's not bad. Let's take them all out, and I think what I'm gonna start doing before I start making a lot of knives is smelting up me pretty high up in levels. I can make a lot of iron stuff at this point, up to level 26, which means that I can make myself an iron full helm. In one level, a iron guide shields, and then at some point, maybe plate legs. Maybe I'll even get close to being able to make a plate body. Of course, I already have a better weapon than the iron scimitar, so I don't need that. But the full helm, probably not bad. At this point, I might as well just make one chain body because that gets me to level 27. And if I don't end up making a plate body, at least I'll have the chain body. I can make a kite shield. Sometimes I forget that being chunk locked on Chunk Wizard is in no way representative of even a normal Iron Man experience. And this isn't even a normal Iron Man experience. I just reached level 30. I'm actually about to reach level 31. And that took me all of an afternoon. On Chunk Wizard, that took me 2 months. I also didn't bring any bars while going out here. I don't know what's wrong with me. Speaking of level 31, which I have just gotten to, that means just one quantity, iron plate legs. Hold on. There's an unmarked furnace here that has a smelt option? This is further away than the Karamja, I think. So it doesn't matter, but do I have anything that I can test this out with? Let's see. Nope, that's the property of the red axe. Maybe after you finish the quest you could use it though? Or maybe not. I don't think this one is listed on the wiki at all, so I assume that you're just not allowed to use it, but then why does it have a smelting option on it? 33, and that's, well, it wasn't really a goal, but a soft goal, because we can now make iron plate bodies, which I cannot reiterate enough that this probably doesn't matter at all. A nice bit of smithing finished, almost 3,000 iron knives, which should be without a doubt plenty enough to get me the range level. And there we are, level 30. That means that I can now leave this area after this hill giant dies. And that means that we can now wield this maple short bow. The first item in our minimal loadout is now equipable. We've done it. We've still got a ways to go though for the rest.